Good afternoon everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the basis of classification. As you know that we have started the classification of animal kingdom, and yesterday we have discussed that animals, they have been divided into 11 phylum. Right? That is Porifera, Coelenterata or Cnidaria, Ctenophora, Platyhelminths, Aschelminthus, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata, right? So today we are going to discuss about the basis of classification, how these 11 phyla has been created, how the organisms has been divided, classified into these 11 phyla. Okay, so now let us talk about the classification characteristics. First basis is organization. As you know that we are talking about the animal kingdom, and all animals are multicellular. Clear? They are eukaryotic as well as heterotrophic. These are the basic characters of the animals. Multicellular means all the animals, they are made up of many cells. All animals, they are having many cells. Eukaryotic, in the cell, if I talk about the one cell, then in the cell they are having nuclear membrane. If the nuclear membrane is present, then the cell is known as eukaryotic. Okay, so animals are having many cells, their cell is having the nuclear membrane, and they are heterotrophic, means they cannot prepare their own food. Like you know about the human, we can't prepare our own food with the help of photosynthesis like the plants can do. We used to take the ready-made food from the plants or from the other animal. Clear? So, if I talk about the organization, as I told you, all the animals are multicellular. They are having many cells. But now, how these cells are arranged, it will vary. Clear? So, on the basis of these, three types of organization are possible. Cellular level of organization, tissue level of organization, organ level of organization, and one more is there, that is organ system. Now let us study about them. No doubt all animals are having many cells, they are multicellular. But how the cells are arranged? In the cellular level, all the cells are present as the loose cell aggregate. Okay, the cells are present as loose cell aggregate, means the cells, they don't form the group. Similar cells having similar functions, they don't come together, they don't form a group. So in cellular level, as the name suggests, cells are present. No doubt many cells are there, but the cells hasn't organized into tissue. So they are having cells that are loosely arranged, aggregate of cells, but the cells are not arranged in the form of tissue. Each cell can work all the functions independently. Clear? They are showing some kind of connection, but still the tissue hasn't formed yet. Its example is Porifera. Right now we have talked about the 11 phylum. The first one is Porifera. So in porifera, cellular level of organization is present. They are just having cells. Tissues are not present in the poriferans. Clear? Next, if I talk about the tissue level, as the name suggests, in them cells, the group of similar cells, it is known as tissue. So in the tissue level of organization in the organism, the similar cells that perform the similar function, they came together and it results in the formation of the tissue. Clear? Its example is Coelenterata. After porifera, if you do remember, in 11 phylum it was Coelenterata or Cnidaria. Coelenterata, Ctenophora. In these two, the cells are there, many cells are there, but they have organized themselves in the form of tissue. Clear? In poriferans, the cells are loosely aggregate. They haven't formed the tissue. In Coelenterata and Ctenophora, tissue level of organization is present. The similar cells, they have organized themselves into a group and they used to perform the similar function. Now if I talk about the organ level, now the similar tissues, they came together and they have formed an organ. So they are having organ. Its example is platyhelminths. In platyhelminths, you will find the organ level of organization. They are having organ. The tissues have organized themselves in the form of organ. And last one is organ system, that is present in us even. Organ system, various organs, they are organized to form the functional system. Like if I talk about my body, we are having digestive system. So different organs like stomach, small intestine, large intestine, these are organs. Different organs, they are organized and they result in the formation of a functional system, that is digestive system. So in organ system level of organization, different organs get organized and they form a functional organ system like digestive system, respiratory system, excretory system. Clear? Now its example is Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata, all the rest. Clear? So this is about the organization, how the organisms has been classified on the basis of the organization. If they are having only loose aggregate of cells, they are not having any kind of tissue, they have been placed under porifera. If they are having tissues, group of cells that perform the common function, then they have placed in the group Coelenterata or Ctenophora. Again we shall discuss more characters. After that there is organ level and then organ system level. Clear? So this is the first basis of classification, that is organization. Now second basis of classification is symmetry. Basically, let me talk about the first one, animals on the basis of organization has been divided into three groups. Having cellular level organization, that is porifera. Tissue level of organization, that is Coelenterata and Ctenophora. Having organ level of organization, that is platyhelminths. And organ system level of organization, that is Annelida till Chordata. Clear? Now let us talk about the second basis of classification, that is symmetry. Now, If I talk about the symmetry, symmetry basically here in biology, it stands that how the body is divided. Okay, it is of two types, asymmetrical, symmetrical. Asymmetrical means symmetry is not there. You will cut the organism in any plane, the left and right portion they won't be equal. Suppose if I am talking about this duster, okay, if I'll cut it longitudinally from here, okay, if I take a blade and I'll cut it from here, now what will happen? You will see the right half and the left half, they will be equal. You can just understand this thing. It means it is symmetrical, it is having a symmetry. If you are cutting it from a particular plane, a particular angle, from the middle of its axis, then it can be divided into two equal halves. If I talk about this, again if you cut it from the center, from a particular plane, from here, you can divide it into two equal halves. Again it is symmetrical. So we are having two type of symmetry in case of animals also. Asymmetrical, which doesn't show any kind of symmetry. You can cut them from any plane, in not even a single plane you will get the symmetry. Okay, its example is Porifera. If you cut the poriferans from any plane that passes through their central axis, you will not get this symmetry in any case. You will not get that the right half is equal to the left half. It will never happen. Clear? Symmetrical, if you will cut their body in a particular plane or maybe more than one plane, then yes, the right half and the left half will be equal. It is of two types, radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry. Bilateral is easier to understand. Radial means if you cut the organism from any plane that passes through the central axis, the left half and the right half they will be equal. Its example is Echinodermata. Its example is Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Echinodermata. Although Echinodermata is advanced, but in terms of symmetry, it is showing radial symmetry. Okay. If you cut their body in any plane, from any plane that passes through their central axis, then the left half and the right half will be equal. Let me give you the example of Echinodermata. Its example is starfish. You might have seen the starfish. If I draw its structure, it is somewhat like that. 5 arms are there. You can do it even just on a paper. Draw a starfish and cut it with the help of the scissors. Now try to cut it from any plane. You will get right and left half to be equal. So it is showing radial symmetry. One plane is this. You can cut it like that. Okay. Second, you can cut it like that. Clear? Just cut it like that. You'll get that more than one plane is able to cut it in two equal halves. The right half and the left half, they are equal. Clear? Now, if I talk about bilateral symmetry, as the name suggests, bi means two. So, organism can be divided into left and right equal half only from one plane. Clear? Only from one plane, an organism can be divided into equal right and left half. Suppose my body, human being, we are bilaterally symmetrical. Basically all the organisms except these four phyla, that is Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Chordata, they all show bilateral symmetry. Like let me give you the example of a worm, Platyhelminthes. their body is worm-like. Okay, you can divide their body into left and right equal half if you cut along with this plane. Okay, the left and right half would be similar. I'll not say the same, but yes, they will be similar. But if you cut them from any other plane, then symmetry won't be there if you are cutting from this plane. Yes, the plane should pass from the central axis. Okay, if you cut from here, then at that point you are not getting the right and left half to be equal. From a single plane, if you cut them, then the right half and the left half would be equal. It means they are showing the bilateral symmetry. Human being, you can cut, obviously not cut, but yes, you can imagine a central axis is passing through your body, through the center of your body like this. Your left half and the right half would be similar. Here one eye, second eye, half of the lip, half of the lip, half of the nose, half of the nose. So this is what is happening in the bilateral symmetry. If the organisms are being cutted down from a single plane, and if the left half and the right half are equal, then it is bilateral symmetry. Okay, so this is the basis of classification symmetry. Asymmetrical, the organism will never be divided into left and right equal half. Doesn't matter, you will cut them from any plane. In radial symmetry, cut the organism from any plane. Every time you will get the right and the left half to be equal. But yes, there is a condition. The line of the axis should pass from the central of the axis. Like if I talk about the bilateral symmetry in humans, we can't cut it like this, and we can't say the upper portion is having head and everything, the lower portion is having abdomen and legs. No, we have to take that plane that is passing through the central axis. Okay, basically the longitudinal central axis. And in bilateral symmetry, organism can be divided into left and right equal half when they are divided from the one plane. In radial symmetry, organism can be divided into equal right and left half when they are cutted down from any plane passing through their central axis. And in asymmetrical, they won't get divided into equal half. Doesn't matter, you will divide them from any plane. Clear? So this is the second basis of classification. Now third basis is germ layer. Whether the organism is diploblastic or triploblastic. Now let us study about this. Number of germ layers. Now what do you mean by these? Each and every animal, each and every organism has started their life from a single cell, even we. Our life starts from a single cell, that is zygote. Okay. Actually what happens in the life cycle of every animal? From the male, a sperm will come, and from the female, there will be production of an ovum. When these two get fused, it results in the formation of a zygote. And this zygote is going to develop into the multicellular body. Even my life, your life starts from a single cell. Today we are multicellular, we are having so many cells that are organized into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into organ system. But when we have started our lives, then we were just a single cell that was formed by the fusion of the sperm and the ovum. Okay, so now this zygote will undergo mitotic division. So many divisions will be there. There will be mitotic divisions. Obviously, the cell has to increase in the number. From one cell, at the last, a multicellular animal has to be formed. So there will be mitotic divisions. Now, which as a result will form cluster of cells. Suppose I am drawing it like this. Okay. I am just naming this stage as morula. again many more cells will be produced. So like this it will keep on going. I am not going into that detail, that is developmental biology, you will learn in class 12. I am just saying what will happen from the single cell, from the zygote. A multicellular structures will keep on arising. Now finally what happens? Now suppose many cells has been produced. Now finally there should be formation of the proper organ. Like we are having stomach, digestive system, if I talk about the organ system, nervous system, there is formation of all these things. How these things are formed, just let us study. From the zygote, mitotic divisions will be there, many cells will get produced. Now these cells, they will arrange themselves in the form of layer. Mitotic divisions will keep on going. Okay. Now the cells formed in the embryo, they will arrange themselves in the form of different layer. Like first layer, clear? Second layer. This is happening in the embryo. Second layer, third layer. Okay, these layers are known as germ layers. Why? Because they are gonna make the different body parts, your nervous system, your digestive system, your respiratory system, each and every part, each and every tissue, it is going to be made by these three layers only. I am talking about human body. Okay, these are known as germ layers. Am I clear till here? Now, if I am talking about the human only, the first layer or the outermost layer is known as ectoderm. Like from the ectoderm, your nervous system will be made later on. Middle layer is mesoderm. Middle one is mesoderm. And the inner layer is endoderm. From the mesoderm, bones, cartilage, it will be made later on. From the endoderm, your digestive system will be made later on. So this is what is happening actually. Zygote is there, it will undergo mitotic division, so many cells will be produced. Now the cells will organize themselves in the different layers. Three layers basically if I talk about the humans. Outer one is ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, inner one. Clear? These are germ layers because they are gonna make the different body parts in the future. These are the embryonic layers which are present in the embryo. Later on they will result in the formation of the different body parts. Is it fine? Now let us come back to the germ layer. So organisms are of two types, diploblastic, triploblastic. Now can you understand what is there? Diplo means two. If the organism is having two germ layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm, they are not having mesoderm. Let me draw its cross-sectional view. In cross-sectional view, they will be appeared circular. Okay. Now let me draw the diploblastic condition. In diploblastic condition, two germ layers are present, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Suppose here I am drawing ectoderm. Okay, cells will be there obviously, like this. I am drawing it a rough. Okay. This is ectoderm, suppose. Now, only two layers are there, means mesoderm is not there, directly endoderm is there. So here I am drawing endoderm in the inside. Like this. Ectoderm is there, endoderm is there. They are not having mesoderm. Is it fine? Now what is present in place of mesoderm? Mesoglia. Mesoderm was a layer that was made up of cells. Now this mesoglea, it is not made up of cells. This is acellular layer. It is a kind of fluidy layer that will fill this space. Okay. So here mesoglea is there. Mesoderm is not there. Mesoglea is there. Mesoderm was having cells. It is not cellular. It is acellular. Mesoglea. So this is diploblastic condition. The organisms that are having two germ layers. From these two germ layers, their body parts will get formed. Now we have to learn diploblastic condition is present in which kind of organisms. Clear? Now the diploblastic condition is present in, if I talk about from the starting, Porifera was there. In Porifera, we have talked about that they are having cellular level. They are not having tissue. So obviously, this condition can't be there, right? So this is not happening in Porifera. Next is Coelenterata. So yes, in Coelenterata, diploblastic condition is there. They are having two germ layers. So Coelenterata. Next phylum is Ctenophora. Ctenophora also shows diploblastic condition. Next is Platyhelminthes. From Platyhelminthes onwards, triploblastic condition is there. So this can come in 1 mark even in the NEET exam. From where the triploblastic condition starts, its answer would be Platyhelminthes. So triploblastic condition is present from Platyhelminthes till chordates. Clear? If I talk about the triploblastic condition, they are having ectoderm, mesoderm as well as endoderm. Ectoderm is there. Okay, they are having ectoderm. They are also having mesoderm. And they are having endoderm. So they are having 3 germ layers, and from these 3 germ layers, all the future organs, tissues, everything will be made up of. Is it fine? Next characteristic feature, let us talk about. So firstly, we have studied about the level of organization: cellular level, tissue level, organ system level. Second basis of classification was symmetry. Radial symmetry, asymmetrical organisms, symmetrical organisms. Symmetrical organisms were again of 2 types: radial symmetrical and bilateral symmetrical. Then we have studied about the germ layers. On the basis of these, the organisms are of 2 types: diploblastic and triploblastic. Diploblastic organisms are having 2 germ layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm. Triploblastic organisms are having 3 germ layers, that is ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. Now let us talk about the 4th basis of classification, that is coelom. First of all, you should know what is the meaning of coelom. Coelom means body cavity that is lined by mesoderm. Body cavity that is lined by mesoderm. Now again, what do you mean by this term? Right? Now let me draw the human body once, then you'll get to know it in a better way. What happens actually in my body? I am giving you example of our body because you are familiar with your body. Okay, suppose here I am drawing a human body, I am drawing a rough diagram. Clear? I have drawn a rough diagram, so don't go into that detail. I am just wanted to tell you the meaning of coelom. Now, coelom is a body cavity that is lined by the mesoderm. In your body, you are having a body wall like here. Here, a body wall is there which is in the outer environmental contact here. We are having the outer wall. Clear? And then we are having the digestive system. From here, suppose the mouth is there, a tube is there, that is esophagus. Then we are having stomach and everything. I'm just drawing it a tube. Here anus is there. This is what the general plan is. Obviously stomach is there and everything is there. You can draw it like that also. And I just wanted to tell you the meaning of cavity. Cavity means empty space. So in your body, what happens between the gut or between the alimentary canal? You can assume it as small intestine, stomach also. Still, the space between the alimentary canal and the body wall, this is known as coelom. Not coelom, actually body cavity. The space between the alimentary canal and the body wall. Here is the alimentary canal, here is the body wall. Is that fine? Actually, your alimentary canal is made up of endoderm. That's what I told you in the germ layer. Your digestive system is made up of endoderm. So here, if I say endoderm can also be written. And your body wall is made up of ectoderm. That's what I told you. Germ layers are going to make the parts. So your body cavity is the cavity that is present between the alimentary canal and the body wall. Cavity present between alimentary canal and body wall. Now, let us talk about what is coelom. If this body cavity is lined by mesoderm, here is the body cavity. This is the body cavity. Empty space you can see. The body cavity between the alimentary canal and the body wall. This is cavity. Now if this cavity is lined by mesoderm, means if here mesoderm is there, here, and here also mesoderm is there. Mesoderm is nothing but a layer of cells. Here mesoderm is there. Now you can see on both the sides. Here also, here also. This cavity is surrounded by mesoderm on both the sides. Now this body cavity is known as coelom. That is actually happening in our body. Our body cavity is coelomic in nature. So this is coelom. Am I clear? What is coelom? Coelom is the body cavity that is lined by mesoderm. Now you can very well imagine, here is body wall, that is ectoderm basically. Mesoderm, body cavity, mesoderm, and the alimentary canal, that is endodermal. So this is what is happening in our body. So coelom means a body cavity that is lined by mesoderm. Clear? This mesoderm that is facing out, that is facing the body wall, this is known as parietal peritoneum. This mesoderm is known as parietal peritoneum. And this mesoderm, that is basically inside, that is in contact with the alimentary canal. This is visceral peritoneum. Visceral is used for the body parts. Okay, so this is visceral peritoneum. Is it fine? What is coelom? Now let us talk about the basis of classification on this. On the basis of coelom, organisms have been classified into three types. Acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, eucoelomate. So on the basis of the coelom, organisms have been classified into three types: acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, and eucoelomate. Clear? A means absent, means they are not having coelom, they are not having any body cavity. Let me draw its diagram. Now I'll draw it in a circular way. Why? Because if you will take a cross sectional view, suppose here is a tube, you will take its cross sectional and you will see from the top it will be circular. So that's why the cross sectional view I am drawing. What happens in acoelomate condition? Body cavity is not there. Outside ectoderm is there. Okay. After ectoderm, mesoderm is there. After mesoderm, endoderm is there directly. There is no body cavity. There is endoderm. So this type of condition is known as acoelomate. Okay, there is no body cavity. Acoelomate condition is present in platyhelminths. Clear? Before that also, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, they are not even having the body cavity. Okay, so pseudocoelomate. This is again an important question. From where the pseudocoelomate condition starts? Its example is Aschelminthes. Sorry, not from where actually. Where, in which phyla the pseudocoelomate condition is present? Its example is Aschelminthes. Only Aschelminthes they are having pseudocoelomate condition. Aschelminthes. Now what is the meaning of pseudo? Pseudo means false. They are having coelom. They are having body cavity. But that body cavity is false. Now how? Coelom we said that body cavity that is lined by mesoderm. Okay, so in pseudocoelomate condition, body cavity is there, but that is not lined by mesoderm actually. It is lined by the mesodermal pouches. Now let us talk about ectoderm is there. Okay. Endoderm is there inside. Now, obviously they are having body cavity. So that's why I have drawn it like this. Here is the space. Body cavity is there. I have drawn ectoderm, endoderm. Now I am left with the mesoderm. Pseudocoelomate means the body cavity is not lined by the mesoderm. Rather, the mesoderm is present in the form of the pouches. Mesoderm is not regular. It is in the form of pouches like this. Okay, this is the body cavity. Here you can see the empty space. So now this body cavity is known as pseudocoelom, false coelom. The body cavity is there, but it is not lined by the mesoderm. Mesoderm is there, but in the form of mesodermal pouches. Its example is Aschelminthes. Now eucoelomate, this is quite easy. I am just drawing it here only. Ectoderm is there. Endoderm is there. Now in eucoelomate, U means true. These are the true coelomate organisms in which they are having the body cavity that is lined by the mesoderm. Let me erase this. I was having the ectoderm, endoderm. Now the body cavity is there. The body cavity is lined by the mesoderm. So I am drawing the mesoderm like this. Are you getting the concept? So this is the mesoderm. These all are cellular layers. So eucoelomate condition is present from Annelida onwards. Annelida, Arthropoda, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata. So from Annelida onwards, this condition is present. Is it fine? So on the basis of coelom, organisms are of three types. Acoelomate, there is no body cavity. Okay. Pseudocoelomate, the body cavity is there but mesoderm is scattered in the form of pouches. Its example is Aschelminthes. Then eucoelomate, that is the true coelom is present. The coelom, the body cavity is covered with the help of the mesoderm. Its example is Annelida onwards. Annelida, Arthropoda and the rest phyla. Now next basis of classification is segmentation. Segmentation you can understand from the name itself. If the body of the animal is divided into segments, then that animal is showing segmentation, right? The best example, you have seen the earthworm. If you have seen the earthworm during the rainy season, you can very well imagine its structure. The earthworm is like this. The body is divided into so many segments like this. Xylem is there like this. Right? So, earthworm shows the segmentation, basically metameric segmentation. This is the true segmentation. The segmentation in which the body is divided externally as well as internally. In the body of the earthworm, segmentation is there. The body is divided into different segments. These are the segments. Okay, both externally as well as internally. Fine. Now, next is notocode. On the basis of the notocode also animals has been classified. Organisms that are having notocode, they comes under the chordata. We are chordata. In our body, the notocode has been replaced by the vertebral column. And the one that do not have the notocode, they are known as non-chordata. So on the basis of the notocode, organisms have been classified into two categories: chordata, non-chordata. Those who are having chordata, those who are having notocode, and those that do not have the notocode. Clear? Now, what is notocode? Notocode is present in the dorsal area. If I talk about my body, this front area, this is ventral, and this back portion is dorsal. Okay, like this we used to divide the organism's body in two parts, the ventral one and the dorsal one. Clear? So, notocode is present in the dorsal area. One thing. Second, it is a rod-like structure. So notocode is a rod-like structure that is present in the dorsal area of the organism. It is very important actually. We will study about it in detail also. So notocode is a rod-like structure that is present in the dorsal area of the organism. If the organisms are having notocode, they are under the chordata category. If they are not having, they are non-chordates. Okay. And due to the presence of this notocode only, actually we are advanced. Chordata, they are advanced. Clear? Now, one more basis of classification is on the basis of organ system. Like, let me take the example of digestive system. Digestive system is of two types: incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system. In incomplete digestive system, only one opening is there that works as mouth as well as anus. Like again I am talking about my body. We are having two different bodies. mouth for taking the food, and the anus for the process of egestion, right? So in incomplete digestive system, only single opening is there. They are having single opening, and that single opening works as mouth as well as anus. This is happening in platyhelminthes. Okay, but in complete digestive system, two openings are there. Mouth is there for taking the food and anus is there for egestion. So they are having two openings, mouth and anus. Its example is chordata. Clear? If I talk about the circulatory system, again on the basis of this we can classify the organisms into two categories. Organisms having open circulatory system and organisms having closed circulatory system. About this you have read in your earlier classes also. Open circulatory system means there is no vein, artery, nothing. The blood is directly flowing in the body. All the organs, they are bathing in that blood. All the organs, they are in direct contact with that blood, as the blood is not flowing in any kind of blood vessel. All the organs, they are being wet. They are being bathed in that blood. But in closed circulatory system, that is again our characteristic. Arteries are present, veins are present, capillaries are present, and the blood flows in arteries. No doubt our organs, they are in contact with the blood vessels, but the organs, they are not bathing in that blood. Clear? So these are the various bases on which the animals have been classified.